Hey guys, how's everyone doing? And welcome back to our daily Algebra 2 video. Today we're going to continue talking about radical functions, and we're going to look at our last thing for today, or last thing for this for this section. Okay, we're going to look at radical inequalities. Now, an inequality is instead of the function saying y is equal to, it's going to say y is less than, y is greater than, y is less than or equal to, or y is greater than or equal to. Now, that gives you four variations of a typical function. Now, with that being said, they all have a special meaning attached to them. So I put it over here in a box because if you can find which one you're using, you can always indicate what it does, because they actually have two different meanings attached to them. Because we typically graph a line and just graph a line as a function. When you work with inequalities, you have two different things that happen. One, you don't necessarily always have a solid line. You can have a dashed or a dotted line, and you can also have to shade above or below the function. Okay, so for this one, we're going to have to come up with meaning. So for the first thing we're working with, less than or greater than signs. For less than or greater than signs, they are typically dashed lines. Okay, they're dashed lines because you cannot equal that point, but you can approach it, but you cannot equal it. For a less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, these are our solid lines, okay, because that means you can actually equal that point. Now we go to this one, less than or equal to. If you're less than something, that means you have to be below it. So we say shaded below. Okay, greater than or equal to. Okay, that's the opposite. If you're greater than something, you have to be above it. So we are shaded above. Okay, so now we have our indications for what these are. So every time you're doing graphing an inequality, you just have to point out to what you're doing. Okay, if you can point out on this table what you have, okay, you can see what two options you have. So now let's look at an equation. We have f of x, or y, is less than the square root of x plus 2 minus 3. So the first thing I need to do is I need to state the inequality and what it does. So since we are less than, okay, we're a less than sign, I look right here. That means we are dashed and shaded below. So we'll say dashed, shaded below. Okay. Now after we've indicated after we've indicated what was happening with the inequality, I can get rid of it because that's just going to affect my graph now. Now I'm going to actually go and I'm going to state the movement form, the transformation, just because that's what our typical process to do, because that kind of helps me out on that end. So I'm going to state my transformation. Since I'm adding inside the radical or the parentheses, I know I do the opposite and I move left and right. So since I'm plus 2, I'll go left 2. And since we're working outside the parentheses right here, or outside the radical, it affects your up and down movement and does as it states. So when it's minus 3, it goes down 3. So now that I have all that stated, I can go ahead and come up with my table. So my initial values for the parent function as I graphed it for us were 0, 1, 4, 9 for x's, and 0, 1, 2, and 3 for y's. So I can go ahead and put down their effect. Okay, so I know x values will go left 2. So from 0 goes to negative 2. From 1, negative 1. 4, 2. 9 to 7. Y's go down 3. So 0 goes to negative 3. 1 goes to negative 2. 2 goes to negative 1. 3 goes to 0. Okay? And now I can graph it. Now, if you wanted to, you don't have to do the table necessarily. You can just follow your pattern. You can follow your rules. Left 2, down 3. Left 2, down 3, and so forth. Okay? So left 2, down 3. Negative 1, negative 2. 2, negative 1. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0. And now we have our points graphed, but we cannot forget that we stated that this function has to be dashed and shaded below. So we don't need a solid line, we need a dashed line. It should look something like that with shaded below. Okay. Now remember, for an inequality, that's just stating it can't be something, or it can be something or greater than it. So y is going to be less than or less than the square root of x plus 2 minus 3. So that means all these values below this function will actually work. Okay. That's it for today's graph, or that's it for today's lesson, guys. I hope everyone's having a good day. I hope everyone's having a good week. Okay. Tomorrow, we're not doing anything tomorrow or Monday, and I'll be available on Tuesday with office hours. But other than that, I hope everyone has a great day. Peace.